cool. All right, so just making sure that that's all we got. So I'm gonna get ready to get started. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming so far. Like, it's been like, a build up to this moment. Just waiting to hear these two poets just like share their amazing and beautiful work with y'all. It's just gonna be it's just been like a highlight and like a week that's been filled with a lot of things and a lot of emails and a lot of back and forth, but like this moment definitely excited for. Not gonna like take too much time in the beginning, but just for everyone who coming in and seeing from elsewhere on Facebook or wherever else, where Get Fresh Books, run, founded by Roberto Garcia. And it's like an amazing community, basically, in terms like that has like connections with so many beautiful artists, especially from the East Coast, but, it's going to be spreading worldwide eventually. So thank you, Roberto, for starting this and like having me and Darla on board. Glad to be co-hosting with Darla. And like get ready, like for everyone, y'all want to definitely be keeping up with the calendar for the following months, to see the poets that Darla brings in. That's going to be amazing. We have like products and like merch, which Roberto just put into the chat. Oh, excuse me, my bad. Excuse me. I thought I saw one thing, but yes, we have actually still merch to Love and Island. And also, let's see where this next one, antibody, I'm assuming is. It has just a whole bunch of like symbols and numbers. So I was like, hold on, what link is this? But I'm assuming that's antibody because I saw a Nightboat. So already Marwa like disturbing the the algorithm, like the numbers and the everything coming in bundles. So we're gonna get ready to get started. I'm just going to we're gonna go in the order of Anna and then Marwa, and I'm just gonna read their bio from their books, their lovely books. So To Love an Island, look at this amazing cover, right? And back to front, just such a marvel to look at. And I'm just going to read the bio from here. Thank you again, Anna, for being here with us. So I'm like, excited to hear you read, but here we go. Anna Portnoy Brimmer is a poet and organizer from Puerto Rico. Her debut full-length album, I'm about to say album, but it is actually, so in a way, it is like an album. And when I was reading it, I was like, the musicality of the lines of the lyric that you like go into was very interesting in comparison to Marwa. But I'm not gonna be like, don't know, let me just stay on track. But here we go. Anna Portnoy Brimmer is a poet and organizer from Puerto Rico. Her debut full-length collection, To Love an Island, is out with YesYes Books, and the Spanish edition is forthcoming from La Impresora. To Love an Island was originally the winner of the YesYes Books 2019 Vinyl 45 Chapbook Contest. Portnoy holds a BA and an MA from the University of Puerto Rico and is an alumna of the MFA program in creative writing at Rutgers University, Newark. She is the winner of the 92nd Streetwide Discovery Poetry Contest 2020, amazing. She is the daughter of Mexican Jewish immigrants, resides in Puerto Rico, and lives for dance parties and revolution. Everyone give it up, give your full attention, focus, and energy to amazing Anna. Thank you, and passing it over to you.
Thank you so much, Cozy. It honors me. And I also wanted to say thank you to Roberto and Get Fresh Books for having us and just curating this event. And I'm so excited to share space with Marwa as well. That's a huge honor. And we were actually trying to coordinate beforehand to get a reading together and coincide, and the poetry gods blessed us and goddesses blessed us with this today. Así que buenas noches. I'm going to just dive into it. And I'm going to be reading from my book, To Love an Island. And I'm going to start with a poem called Strawberries. I'd always been told strawberries couldn't grow in Puerto Rico. We didn't have the climate. Up here on this finca, past the carcass of Peñuelas' petroleum past, where even the hummingbirds are dizzy with height, small strawberry studs slip off like beads from a necklace on my tongue. The farmer picks them gently from their fuzzy casing, warm and tender from swallowing the world's beatings, as he shows us his budding coffee crop. Crecemos el café bajo sombra. I think of all the work we do in the shadows. Rearing coffee under the sun is hurried and stifles taste. Its flavor should be layered like the rock that makes this mountain of an island. All plants are carbon husked patients, but coffee is a slow birth, bean of push that can take as long as 4 years to ripen. Intercropped with bananas, papayas, and pyrethrum to lure away pests, allow for just and solidary growth and abundant existence. This steep hill of harvest is everything we're slowly trying to become. Mass growers strike deals and offer seeds so local farmers can grow to sell back to them. We have to grow our own, to be our own. He smiles, splits open a coffee pod, drops the pulpy body in my hand and tells me to try it. I'd always been told freedom would never come for Puerto Rico. We didn't have the climate. I asked the farmer about the strawberries. Son silvestres, he responds and points to their beautiful excess. And that was strawberries. I think we're gonna follow it up with another poem from the book called Noche de San Juan. I left Puerto Rico on a Noche de San Juan. By left, I mean howled out the airplane window the way sirens and strays put us to sleep each night. Tradition dictates at midnight you must fall back into the sea at least 3 times to ensure good fortune all year. I watched from my window in Luquillo, bags packed as bodies axed through brine, snapping like tree trunks. Marveled at the trust in water, in night and falling into it, the belief in magic and some strange providence, how it might conjure up an insurrection, vanish the whole of government, undo the curse of colonialism. Plunging 1, 2, 3, 4 times into oncoming waves, a 5th just in case, hoping that harpooning yourself into ocean will change things. This was how I'd last see the island, slicing through the deep, looking to fish out a bottle cap of sustenance, revolt. This was how I'd leave, knowing things wouldn't change, or worse, they would change without me. Everyone fell backwards into the lap of the Atlantic or Caribbean. I boarded an overnight flight, my back shuddering, dry, unblessed by water. Thank you. I'm imagining maybe 1 or 2 people clap, so I'm saying thank you. I think I'm gonna jump the pond from Puerto Rico into the States, which a portion of this collection contemplates. And I'm gonna read a poem, an ode, called Ode to My Studio Apartment in Forest Hill, Newark. I love Newark. Thank you, Newark, for taking me in, making a home for me. And this poem is after Araceli's Hermay. I once read in a poem that there's such a thing as the kindness of windows. It's winter, branches chatter like a fever, and I've never known trees to willingly surrender their foliage. I watch the world from this snow globe, your scratched glass, smudge the surface, patiently wait for late morning. When the sun comes in through your eastern windows, I pull up the Venetian blinds, pull off my clothes, lie back bare on your wood checkered floor, tits in air, a river of sunlight pouring in. Even though the sun behaves differently here, doesn't touch me with the tenderness of my island, your windows do me this kindness and we cheat the cold. I was told I'd be swallowed up by weather, wouldn't survive the chill of this country, its biting ways. But you give me these moments, delicious heat, hide my nakedness, even with the blinds up, windows open, allow me this traveling back, this pleasure of winning, a fuck you to this cold, cold place, while my belly hangs cliffside, ribs blossoming bougainvillea in the pained warmth and February roars outside. You, dearest of square footages, hold me between your gypsum arms, cries puddling in my navel, even as I miss and love another while inside you. That was the ode. The next poem that I'm gonna read is a sonnet, and the context for the sonnet is back in 2018 there was a record-breaking number of femicides in Puerto Rico, and that year many feminist organizations and people in Puerto Rico asked the governor and were demanding that he declare a state of emergency, declare a state of emergency in Puerto Rico because of the gender violence, and he repressed the people's claims. And then a few weeks after that, Congress continued to have a conversation about potentially legalizing cockfights in Puerto Rico. And the governor stuck his neck out for that. And I wrote this poem after that happened. Let me quickly find that. The sonnet is called The Governor and the Cock, and it has an epigraph, which is a tweet by the ex-governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló. And the tweet reads, El deporte de los gallos en Puerto Rico es altamente regulado por el gobierno. Es un pilar cultural y representa un importante sector económico en nuestra isla. A cis man is willing to go through hardest of lengths for his cock. The governor is no different. 24 women are dumped at the lip of some stream, a shaft of bridge. Feminists claw blood from police altars and sleep on cobblestone. The government whips out its ranks and sprays red thins to river. He won't sign their executive order. A hand comes down, marble-fisted on spurred island cocks. Trainers unzip their mouths, haul out their cages. A state of emergency is declared. He will fight to protect their cocks. Bush-born and reared on stroke, their right to brawl is learned. Blows, an act of cultural preservation, jabbing, an inherited sport, a cock's training. He will defend the safety of their violence, plumed quarrels and thrusts erect to kill. Why change history now? This animal given nothing to peck but power, and power goes straight to the head. But the head knows as the cock crows and morning is forced out of bed, that the pit will erode to ruin, the chopping block in its stead. And thank you. I'm gonna read some new stuff now. For the time that I have left, I'll maybe just do one poem. If my 15 minutes aren't up yet too, I'm timing myself. This next poem I'm gonna read is called I Think of Hurricanes. I'm working on a bit of a project. The poem's called I Think of Hurricanes, September 2020. I think of hurricanes while my hand fumbles inside myself. I rinse off the fucking as weather's warm breath blows pinwheels across the Atlantic. The river smells thick, mangles furniture, drags forest logs into the ocean. Tiles on the coastline fall like mosaic rain. Houses along the shore are held hostage, their memories erased, refitted with blue glass and names like Casa del Sol. The fishing village has no electricity to store the day's catch. We've been under curfew for 3 years, and every day is its own storm. I grow small volcanoes on the soles of my feet, barter for future by the pier, offer breadfruit, ginger in exchange. Paint walls purple and circle A's onto the abandoned town school, the fence crawling with cunde amor, beheaded chickens in hallways, iguanas in the trees. In the evenings, the smell of ilang ilang makes me cry. The quiver of a plantain leaf, downpours return me to child. I come hard and alone, spend more time in front of the governor's mansion than at home. I talk to my plants while I water them. They tire of hearing me rage against the colony. I miss passing around a spliff, people's noses and mouths, how we point to things, ask each other if we're okay. My lovers are only as real as the day's cell signal. I no longer make plans beyond the week. Posterity will not have us. We're the children of crisis, and there aren't even enough of its shambles to claim. Tonight, I'll dab ilang ilang oil on my wrists, sit on the balcony by the potted plantain and watch the sky fall while I fuck myself. Wait to see which one will make me cry first. And then I'm going to close off with this last poem and have Marwa read. I'm really excited to hear her. Let me quickly pull up the one. Sorry, folks, give me 1 second. Here we go. The poem is called Public Nuisance, and it has an epigraph. One says, unsafe buildings, public nuisance declared. Any building or structure or part thereof that is determined to have become a hazard to the life, health, safety, or general well-being of the occupants or the public may be deemed an unsafe building or public nuisance. That's from Chapter 636, Unsafe Buildings, Public Nuisance Abatement, Tacoma Park Municipal Code. And then it has an epigraph in Spanish. Definición legal, estorbo público. Cualquier estructura abandonada o solar abandonado o baldío en condiciones de ruina, con defectos de construcción, necesidad de reparación o que es perjudicial a la salud o seguridad del público. Guía comunitaria para la recuperación de espacios en desuso, centro para la reconstrucción del hábitat. And here goes the poem, Public Nuisance. I trip over a sob like a rock from the mountain dynamited to build million-dollar mansions for American settlers who want a panoramic view of the water without the contamination of our lives eroding with the coastline. Everything has a price tag here, hanging pallid as a flag, sick with surrender. The molding pineapples in the supermarket bin, the sidewalks, an open mouth glutted with broken teeth and iguana skin. The horse ribbed as a marimba, tied to the mercurial light post. The burnt remains of a car where yet another woman's body was calcined. The rods of some house that used to grow from the soil, diseased with termites and debt. My lover faces the Pacific, in a city of wildfires and evictions, in a country of death, self-cannibalizing to no end. My archipelago is advertised for sale on billboards by the freeway near her house, next to the weathered ones about Hawaii. A public nuisance declaration hangs around Puerto Rico's neck. Abandoned to hurricanes and birds of prey, relinquished to ruin, becoming a hazard to its dispossessed occupants, vacated by force, sold to the highest bidder. A comrade told me it's legal to cut down ceiba trees, that we should populate forsaken lots and land with them to make them impossible to develop. Now I carry seeds like grenades in my pocket. Sobs are no longer rocks I trip on but throw. I wear this condition like a litmus beaded necklace, lustrous public nuisance dangling from my décolletage, a danger to safety and general well-being. Thank you so much, everybody. And I'm so excited to hand it over to Marwa.
Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna. That was amazing. Oh man, that was just beautiful. I can't wait, like, as everyone, like, gets ready to transition into this next phase of the reading with Marwa. Is going to be a beautiful collage, like, just like in terms, like, the work that are bouncing off of one another. So Marwa, I'm going to get ready to hand it to you, but before I do, I'm going to just read your bio. Marwa Helal is the author of Invasive Species, Nightboat Books, and the chapbook, I Am Made to Leave, I Am Made to Return. Halal is the winner of the 2021 Whiting Award and has been awarded fellowships from the Jerome Foundation. Do they say NYFA or NYFA, NYSCA? So NISCA and NYFA, for essentially. Poets House and Cave Khanum, among others. Born in Al Mansura, Egypt, she lives everywhere. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and sharing the joy and love as we're about to give it to Marwa. Yo, set it off.
All right, thank you so much, Anna. That was amazing. You took us so many different places, and I can't wait to talk in a bit. Nkosi, I just want to make a deal while we're being recorded that when you read, I get to host. All right, cool, done. All right, let me start this timer. Reading all from Antibody this time. Said goodbye to invasive species during the pandemic. And now we have this little book. This is Why I So Wise. It wasn't so much a doubled consciousness, but more akin to a doubled gaze. I didn't leave my body when it would happen, but it was like I could see myself seeing them see me. And I must admit, I got a rise out of it, their feelings of insecurity. They were so obviously intimidated by the work they knew they could never do and would never be able to make. This is how beasts are made. Kulsum sings to the one I saw before I saw, and the body before the body worries she will tear the veil. On the floor of a dimly lit gym's basketball court, I learned Pilates' method was born in a prisoner of war camp. Belong, belong, belong. I'm writing to you from that place where everything has already been written. I'm a believer, yes, but do not ask what it is I believe in. No such thing as secular, especially not government. The world will teach you anger and then tell you not to be angry. The world is my mother, and I am from a country called the mother of the world. Resonates. If you lose your language, you lose your vibration. If you lose your vibration, you lose your rhythm. If you lose your rhythm, you lose the plot. Are we on the same frequency? I dream and carry James Marshall. I think of Adrian Piper, making work to the tune of her own. Everything will be taken away. Everything will be taken away. Pretend not to know what you know. Pretend not to know what you know. I tell omitted we know so little about intimacy. His face is pained. He knows when I say we, I mean I, but even in language, I say we or you to avoid intimacy with the self. Myself, I am the constant calculating distance between location and origin minus the velocity of. The television is repeating everything I say. The woman goes bankrupt on the game show, and a man named Uzor solves the puzzle. It's his karma, I say. Karma, he sounds out. The first word of the puzzle is caramelized. Karama is the Arabic word for generosity. The cat thinks I'm a cat. I tell my mom. She laughs. The cat follows me, and I say, see? The lady on Wheel of Fortune says, see? Michelle, a student studying Arabic at the American University in Cairo, says, the small currency here is worth less than American toilet paper. ... she exclaims. Michelle is the product of a fine American education. Is this why you're all hoarding toilet paper in 2020? Hey, Michelle, I'm writing about you on a page that's worth more than your, how do you like my calculator? My mother teaches children how to use insulin pumps by demonstrating on stuffed animal lions named Lenny. If you want to learn about isolation, watch the news. If you want to learn about intimacy, watch the news. I've fed the cat, I've tucked it in. I have a heart murmur. It tells me everything I need to know. Napoleon shot the nose off the Sphinx. They broke the noses off the statues to hide their creator's race. They broke the noses off to deactivate the statue's supernatural powers. Napoleon overcompensated for his lack of height. Napoleon sought power, war, conquest. Napoleon got a complex in his name. Western Psych read, Psych wants you to think it was because of his height, but really it's because he was white. Trees grow toward each other as much as they do the light. In another morning on America, the dogs walk the people while others ride in strollers. What is Whitey doing with all that yoga and meditation in the racial imaginary? Muse is an invention from the sexist 1920s when women couldn't have societally accepted jobs. Someone tell Nasser Pan-Arabism happened on the internet, and now it is called Swana or Mina or Kofta or Roz wala Kushari wala Betlawa. I'm asking the world to give North Africa back to Africa. I'm asking the world to give the world back. My greatest strength is my willingness to seek help. Look at you emailing me at night. The most European thing about you is your disappearance. I mean, your fear of me. I really don't think you understand what I'm going through. I was asking for the ocean and I got a grain of sand. Heard your latest cause was trying to free your girl's nipples on Instagram. A grain of sand holds all of eternity. I can spin this all day. Abdul Rahman Ahmed is 105 years old. He was born into the Ottoman Empire. He hasn't had teeth for 42 years. My wife took them out with her kisses, he says. I'm working with found material. And earlier by Newton, who maintained each particle of space is eternal. Each indivisible moment of duration is everywhere. For how long will you reenact the scenes of your childhood abandonment? You know who you are. Yep, you. Does no one else think it's funny there's a disorder called borderline? Or is it just too obvious? I keep the language I pray in far from your reach. The apocalypse isn't loud explosions, it is wearing headphones and avoiding eye contact as we endlessly scroll into an abyss wearing polo shirts marked staff, driving each other from gig to gig in Ubers, Vias, and lifts while we take deep drags out of vape pens. This future would have been prevented had we all read Fanon. It's still going badly, but I intend to make the most of my time. It is still dark out when the cab driver from Arecibo calls me Blanquita, and I gently say from the backseat, I know maybe you can't see me too well, it being before dawn and all, but I ain't no Blanquita. But she persists to Blanquita me, again, Blanquita, Blanquita. We reach the terminal when she passes my suitcase from the trunk, winks, smirks, and says, have a safe flight, Blanquita. I figure maybe it is more flirt than shade, but 5 minutes later, TSA is patting me down and I'm muttering, I told you I ain't no Blanquita. In New Orleans, TSA says my crotch is lighting up. And I'm thinking, I've been waiting for an opportunity to tell them it must be this bomb pussy and how I know they've been crushing on me for years, but it is too early for this mess. And to teach is to fill a room, to change a room. This time I'm teaching in a middle school in Queens when it happens. After I introduce myself to the class, a little girl gasps and says at the ceiling, wait, you're not from here? But you look like you're from here. And I swear to you, it is a miracle, a violation of the natural when I sink so she can see me good and eye level and say, I look like I'm from where? From here? Let her have a good look at me and her questions. This is how I become a hyena. I want her to see the grooves the sun has made in my forehead from the radiation of my many migrations above the clouds. I want her to see my eyes glint, knowing one day she will need to make this glint her own. She's confused, shakes her head. No, no, I mean, you sound like them. And now I call like hyena, cackle like hyena. So I say, so to sound is to look like. I feign confusion. This is how I become two miracles, but I don't realize it at the time. At the time, I am mind muttering, I ain't no Blanquita. I told you I ain't no Blanquita. And this is when I sound most like myself. And by sound, I mean, and what if every time you were asked where you're from, you simply pointed to your heart? What do you pack if you don't know you're never coming back? How many traumatized narrators do you fall for before you believe like attracts like? I have been mistaken and wondered what else I have mistaken. Me, the one in a body that is always misread. I have become the illiterate one. And this is when I remember the prophet, peace be upon him, was also illiterate. If you're looking for me, I'll be in the occult section under an accumulation of crabapple trees along the Ohio. I still count the tiles, still try to figure out how the world was put together. We ate their gaze. Our gaze ate them. The days is numbered. Startling semi-annual saccharine sensitivity to sentencing in a season of severing and severances, to so-called civil servants of treachery and separation. I sense a series of spectators or investigators won't save us like stolen generators. Nothing speculative about spectacles, we beasts spit and sputter, spits and sputters, splitting sutures of your occipital, of your occidental, spectacle of the spectacular softness of the splex. I choose the best for myself. Swearing the swivel of the stank of spangled smear with spirited wet spirit spent to coalesce in this nonsense. That's the thing about your language, is I make it sound so good, it doesn't have to make sense. These are what you is, where you from. Someone tell these oxymorons we is. Am I back? Okay, thank you. Was it the days is numbered that made everything freeze? Excellent. I just want to do a check.
Oh, hold on. Did we just You just exited, Marwa, or you just muted? Oh, okay. You was like, oh, I'm just, hi, are we coming back, or is that it? I'm just making sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I wanted to give the floor back to you because I don't know where I cut out at, but like I'm happy to reread anything, but we can just jump into the convo.
No, I mean, please, like if there's any, definitely is.
We want the rest of that poem. Yeah, we want the rest of that poem.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get some water because there's a lot going on right now.
Bet.
No problem. Yeah.
Where
That
did
was
I
funny.
cut off and go see? Do you know?
I like it was
Start
somewhere
from
in that. I thought it was
oxymoron,
me.
LOL. Okay, Doc.
I thought it was me that was like only getting you frozen. So I
I
thought
saw
everyone
that
else
all
had
of
caught
you
up.
were frozen. I didn't realize it was me.
Oh wow.
The days is really numbered
wow.
though. See, that's the signs. Thank you. You're the best.
Right.
No, you're great. I have a hungry lion in here. You saw Zan Phillips's cameo just now. This is
Great
the days
feature.
is numbered. Hopefully it doesn't break the internet again. Just to be that nerd right now. Startling semi-annual saccharine sensitivity to sentencing in a season of severing and severances to so-called civil servants of treachery and separation. I sense a series of spectators or investigators won't save us, like stolen generators. Nothing speculative about spectacles, we beasts spit and sputter, spits and sputters, splitting sutures of your occipital, up your occidental, skeptical of the spectacular softness of this plexus flex, I choose the best for myself. Swearing the swivel of the stank of spangled smear with speared wet spirits meant to coalesce in this nonsense. That's the thing about your language, is I make it sound so good, it doesn't have to make sense. They is all what you is, where you from. Someone tell these oxymorons, we as dual citizens, former resident aliens, and we have only just begun counting down the society's days with the efficiency of Arabic numerals. Thank you guys so much.
Woo. Thank you so much. Thank you both, Anna and Marwa, for being in the space and reading us these fantastic poems. I'm really excited, like and like I said before, it's like I'm already missing it because of like just how brief. I was like, in a way, it's almost like you just need to sit with the whole book, which y'all probably should sit with the whole book and purchase the books. If Roberto, if you can put in the links to their collections, that'll be amazing. Cool. So I guess we're gonna have like a conversation. But you know, I'm gonna ask some questions, and they're gonna be like some questions hopefully from the audience. If y'all have any, y'all can type it into the chat. But if you hear anything that the other mentions and you just want to like riff off of it and like, you know, respond, please feel free to do so. Cool. So I guess sort of like coming into this, one of the things that was sort of like at the top of my head between both of your works was the way that information travels and the technology of the technology, whether it may seem modern, but also where it may seem just there's another word for it that I'm blanking out, but for lack of better words, like manual or in terms like organic. So for Anna, personally, at least when I was reading the collection, natural disaster seems to be on like a similar wavelength with, let's say, the news and in the political arena, but also, you know, with the erotic as well, right? They're all kind of like in this little Venn diagram, kind of like connected in ways of like telling someone else an idea or an emotion, right? But I'm curious about how specifically natural disaster, how you utilize that as a way of transporting stories, even though even one of your lines, I think you kind of like mentioned erasing and like erasure in a sense of like what it does to the people in the land, but at the same time, it does transport information. So how does that work? Like, how do you, or not even how do you, but it's like, what does that mean for you and your work? cool. Let me ask you to unmute right quick. Oh no, Roberto, we're gonna have to ask Anna to unmute.
Now, where'd she go?
Oh no.
Oh man.
Alrighty. Oh no. I might, depending on how fast they.
I don't know what happened. She just dropped off. I asked to unmute and she just disappeared.
Oh
so,
no.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she'll hop back on. So I don't know if I can sort of like get ready to sort of pivot the question to Marwa, in terms of like.
Let's give her a second. Let's give her a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
Let's just hang out.
Thank you. I wasn't
'Cause
sure
I'm sure
about
she'll
the
be right back.
time.
Yeah.
My bad. I'd be
No, we
like,
have time.
so.
Yeah, we're okay.
We are
Marwa's like,
experiencing
we had
technical
time.
difficulties.
Thank you.
Please stand by. Marwa
Thank
has
you,
broken the
Marwa.
internet. Therefore, we are experiencing multiple problems.
I don't know about all that, but I know Anna will come back if she can. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is also
yeah.
Mercury retrograde. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my God. Shut up.
Yeah.
Everything.
I told myself I will not believe in it this time.
I know.
will not.
I've been sending both my brothers just to annoy them. Like every single Mercury retrograde update. And you know, eventually I'll get them to understand
That's hilarious.
that this is real.
Oh,
There she is.
great.
Yeah.
Hey.
She just needed time to think about her answer. Okay, still
good
gotta
to have you
unmute.
back.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It just closed on me and then I had to find the link.
No worries, no worries.
But Marwa, were you getting to a question? Did I interrupt?
No, we were waiting for you. No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. To I think I sort of got the gist of your question and it was a great one. Thank you. I think natural disaster for sure plays a role in storytelling, in terms of how it's a device to tell a larger story. In Puerto Rico, we talk about how these aren't natural disasters, they're political disasters, right? And the implications around that. And so natural disaster, I think, communicates stories, or I use it to communicate political stories and to foreground the historical context that makes these disasters in the first place. The disaster of colonialism, the disaster of debt, the disaster of so many of the things surrounding Puerto Rico's current condition and reality. And so I guess, yeah, that's that sort of like way that I see it operating.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, like in sort of a response to that, right? Marwa, like again, is sort of like dealing with how information travels. I was like highlighting natural disaster in Anna's work, but in your work for me, it sometimes it almost came about the natural disaster of the language of English. And I'm like curious
Is
of
that
like
natural though? You know?
interesting.
Is that your question?
Right.
Yeah. But let me let you finish your question.
No. I love that. Yeah. Right. I mean, and so that would probably like just put into question even the follow-up, right? Of like what is considered organic or natural in the ways that we even offer information. So sort of like figuring out how to
giving
ask.
us the best answer. The best edits are happening in the chat right now. Just gonna read some of these.
Disaster.
Yeah.
The
The unnatural disaster. Yeah.
Love it.